So no, when I say guitar exercises and techniques, I don't mean some BS chromatic scale exercise or some trendy finger exercise that'll improve your chops. You know what actually improves your chops? Learning techniques and exercises that you can use in your everyday playing. I'm talking things like triad tricks and triad shapes, seventh chord inversions, double stops. So if any of that interests you, you're definitely going to want to stick around. My name is Matt Kelly. I'm here to help you improve on the guitar as quickly as possible and also get right to the point. So with that being said, let's get right into it. So the first thing we're going to really talk about are my triad tricks or triad shapes. Now, one of the many things that are so awesome and great about triad shapes is that you can utilize them to really enhance chord progressions. You can make the most basic chord progression really pop a little bit more. You can sort of stand out as a guitar player as well. For example, let's say you're playing with a guitar player and he's playing G, D, and C. Right? You wouldn't play the same G, C, and D open chords. What you could do is highlight each of these chords in a different triad format, like this. We could also do it this way. You could simply just strum them. Really whatever works for the context of the song. Anyway, here's how we can learn them. Now, the ones I just played were on something called a string set. We're gonna call that string set 1. There are a total of 4 string sets. Really only gonna go over the first one today. String set 1 is just the G, B, and high E string. String set 2 would be the B, G, and D string, etc. Now, for each of these chords, either major or minor, we have 3 triad inversion shapes. We'll first just go over the major triads, and I'll show you a trick to find all the minor triads. So we'll just do this in the key of C to make things a little easier for everybody. So our root triad shape in C would be this. Now I'm using my middle ring and pointer finger. You could, if you want, use your ring, pinky, and pointer finger if that's easier for you. Now if you'll notice, this actually comes from the A-shape C major chord. Now, if you want to learn all of the positions, I do have a PDF document for you down in the description below. And also, quick plug, if you're interested in learning more about these things and you want a more in-depth lesson, I am giving some guitar lessons again, so feel free to shoot me an email. That's also in the description. So now moving on to our second shape, and we're going to call this one the first inversion. Now, the reason they're called inversions is you're sort of just literally inverting and moving around the notes from that C triad shape. Triad means 3, so there's 3 notes. So in C, it would be C, E, and G. All the rest of the triad shapes in C are going to consist of those notes. So now when we play the first inversion of C major, that would be right here. And you'll notice we're still playing E, G, and C, but the order of them is what's different. For the root position, we have C, E, G, and for the first inversion, we have E, G, and C. Now, this is also really helpful for you to know the notes because it will help you sort of solo around the fretboard and just know where notes are in general. So when you're playing different chord progressions, it's easier for you to find these triad shapes. So root position, we're starting with the root note C. The first inversion, we're starting with the third, which would be E. Now, the second inversion shape, you probably already know. It is just the D major chord shape. Now, this would be the D major triad shape. So, of course, now we have to find where it would be in C major. So what we have to do is find the C note on the B string, and that would be right up here. So now the order of these notes are our 5th, our root, and our 3rd. G, C, and E. So here's the root position in C, first inversion in C, and second inversion in C. Now you'll also notice that first inversion is just from the C major bar chord. It's just the last 3 notes of that chord. Now, not all of the chords you're going to be playing are major chords. What if you play a minor chord? How are you going to figure out where the minor triad shapes are? Now, you could look at the PDF document. That'll show you all of them, but here's a little trick that you can try and do. What consists of a major triad shape is a root, a 3rd, and a 5th. Now, a minor triad consists of a root, a minor 3rd, and a 5th. You can also call that a flat 3rd, whatever. So what we can do is this. Let's play our C major triad shape. We know that this is root position, so it would be root, a 3rd, and a 5th. So we find where that 3rd is, and we just bring it down a half step, and that would be our C minor triad root position. C major root position, minor. So just find that 3rd and bring it down a half step and keep the other 2 notes the same. That's how you find a minor triad shape. Let's do the other example of C major first inversion. Here it is. we have to find where the third is, and that is actually the first note of the first inversion right here. So we bring this down a half step, and we just bar the G, B, and E strings, and that's our minor triad. Same thing for the second inversion. Here's our major triad. We find where that third is. It's on the E string, on that E note. Bring that down a half step, and we finish with a C minor triad shape. That's just a little trick you can use in tons of different contexts. Eventually, when you do practice more of these triad shapes, you're just gonna memorize where the minor triad positions are, but this is just a helpful trick to know, and it can really help you in a pinch. Now, like I said, there are other string sets and other different ways you can play triad shapes. I would definitely recommend learning them, but just start with those for now. And like I said, if you do wanna learn more about that, feel free to book a lesson with me. Now, there really aren't so many other exercises and techniques other than the ones I talked about today, and I'm gonna be posting about these at least once a week. So if you do like learning these kinds of things on the guitar, make sure to subscribe to my channel. But now with everything we went over today, it is best to sort of memorize all of those triad shapes, really know what notes are being consisted of, whether it's a root third or fifth, find where that third is, know where that minor third is. Once you learn all of them, you can play them in really any key, all the major and minor ones, that is. We do have like diminished and augmented, but that's definitely for another lesson. But find a backing track, loop a space of chord progression playing with open chords, and highlight those chords with the triad shapes. You can write melodies this way. There's tons of things you can do. So let me know down in the comments what you thought about this lesson. Let me know if there's any other lesson videos you would like to see me do on my channel. Thanks as always for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.